Hi, welcome to Solutions Television Magazine. I'm Nicole Rowe, and today we're talking about actually it's a very controversial topic that we're talking about today. It has to do with crack, and we're going to be speaking with Barbara Harris and Lynn Alvarez, but let's show you a little clip of Barbara Harris on the Lisa Show today.
Well, I don't know. My personal opinion is if there's a mom and she's taking drugs, I think it's child abuse, and I think we should start looking at it. And I don't mean that to be unsympathetic to the women who have a real problem with cocaine, with crack. It's a major issue for them, and I know how seductive it is. But I think the sterilization is an intriguing idea. Let me run down for you some of what happens to those little crack babies. They suffer from lack of emotion, can't form attachments, deformity, stunted growth, irritability, jitteriness, incessant crying, underdeveloped brains, dysfunctional kidneys. They have a higher incidence of SIDS. It goes on, and we've got so many more of them now, almost twice as many crack-addicted babies being born now than we had just 4 or 5 years ago. We've got to look at what to do about it. Barbara has one solution. Every year, let's get into it, 1 million drug babies are born each year. And just to give you an idea of the development of these little babies in the womb, experts tell us that once crack cocaine crosses the placenta, that it mixes with the amniotic fluid, and it virtually stews the baby in cocaine-tainted liquid, which, as you can imagine, causes them to have lots of problems. Some of them can be far-reaching ones. This lady, Barbara Harris, has a pretty controversial plan on what we can do about it. She's a self-proclaimed activist. She cares very much about this because she's adopted 4 crack babies, and she has actually written this book about raising them. She says that all crack addicts should simply be sterilized. Cut and dry. What's your plan, Barbara?
Well, I have a nonprofit organization, and I realize after researching and gathering statistics over the years that these women are not going to be responsible enough to obtain birth control. So my organization offers the incentive, motivation, whatever you want to call it, to get them to use either permanent or long-term birth control. We offer them cash when they've done it.
So how much money are you talking about?
We give $200 if they get a tubal ligation. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot of money, but to somebody on drugs, it is. And we offer $50 if they obtain Norplant.
And what, does a medical clinic or someone send you the records?
Yeah, we have to verify. We send them a form, and they have to get it, mail it back to us, and then we verify that the procedure's been done, and then we mail them out a check.
What do you think?
They just use it for drugs.
How do you know they don't?
We don't care if they do. That's their choice. But the babies don't have a choice. It's their choice. They're adults. They're adults.
Hi, welcome back to Solutions. I'm Lynn Reeves, and with me is Barbara Harris and Lynn Alvarez. And Barbara, I was thinking about this all day, and I want just a little bit of history. How did you come up with the idea of crack children requiring a caring community?
From the very beginning, we became involved in 1990. We became foster parents, and the first child placed with us was an 8-month-old little girl, and we learned upon taking her in that she was the 4th child born to a woman who was addicted to drugs. So that was really the first clue that we even knew that this problem was going on. Most people are not even aware of this problem. 4 months after we got Destiny, we got a phone call and we found out that she had a baby brother. So we decided to take him so that 2 of them could be together because the older 4 children were in 4 different homes. And I became angry because I knew that this was this woman's 6th child that she had given birth to, addicted to drugs, and she just went in the hospital, gave birth, walked out, and didn't even get a slap on the hand, and I just didn't understand it. And then the following year we got another phone call saying that she had another baby girl who we took into our home, and the following year she had another baby boy, and we took him into our home. And by this time I was irate. I just couldn't believe that these women are allowed to continually visit the hospital, drop off, abandon a baby, and walk away. So I formed CRACK, and I initially authored a bill, and I had legislation that went to Sacramento, and the bill was supposed to make it a crime to give birth to a drug baby in California, but the bill died on the assembly floor, which is where I came up with the idea of offering addicted women money to get them to use birth control out of desperation.
Money. Okay, money. Okay, you brought up the subject of money. What do you mean by offering women money? For what? What kind of control? What?
I mean, birth control is already available to these
Yeah.
women. It's there if they wanted it, but obviously they're not responsible enough or they don't care enough to obtain it. So I knew that there had to be some type of motivation in it for them. So how do you motivate a drug addict? By money. So it sounds desperate, but desperate problems require desperate measures.
Well, Nicole and I were talking about how controversial the subject is, and what are you suggesting here for the form of birth control?
Any long-term birth control, IUD, Norplant, tubal ligation. It can't be birth control pill because these women are not responsible enough to get up every day and take a pill. So it has to be something long-term or permanent.
And what about the men in this situation who are also involved, who are getting these women pregnant? Do you have anything for them?
Well, most people bring up the men when they're talking about these women, and unfortunately, most of the women, when they give birth to a baby, they don't know who the father is because they're prostituting for drug money. So unfortunately, they couldn't tell you who the father of their child was if they wanted to, but we will gladly offer the same $200 for a vasectomy for a man who's addicted to drugs.
That's incredible. Okay. How many of these women right now, since you've been offering this program, have actually gone ahead and got birth control or tubal ligations? And
we have 3 women as of today who have gotten tubal ligations, and the 4th is scheduled for the 6th of January.
Oh, that's incredible.
Done.
Thank God.
Now, you said something earlier about you having the 4 kids, and I know that there are definitely some effects that taking drugs can have on these children. Have you noticed any changes in your children, like the different maybe, or the special needs that they may have?
Well, my children are more fortunate than most. They, as far as I can see now, they don't seem to have any permanent long-term problems because of the drug addiction, although I can't see into the future. But all of the children are not that fortunate. I know of many children who eat with tubes in their stomach, and 3-year-olds that are just learning how to crawl, and, you know, all children are not as fortunate as mine.
Okay. How does your program work?
Go ahead.
Well, basically, any crack addict that is interested would give us a call, and once they place a call, they typically have a conversation with Barbara, and a lot of them are looking to stop doing what they're doing, and that's having multiple births, baby after baby, and a lot of them are motivated by the money, and so that's why they're calling. There's already systems in place, obviously, and they know that, but they're very motivated. So once we...
Okay, well, we're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, I would like to know more about, is it just a crack addict that makes that call? So we'll be right back with solutions. Hundreds of thousands of babies are born every year addicted to drugs. For more information on our cash incentive birth control program, call CRACK at 1-888-30-CRACK. That's 1-888-302-7225. I'm just finishing up that thought with Lynn, and my question was to her, who makes that call? Who makes the call to crack?
Well, there's a variety of people have made the call because of the publicity. There's been family members. There's the person that's actually the drug addict themselves. There's been a lot of supporters. But family members, they know of somebody, they have a friend of somebody, they want to get information. And the crack addict or the drug addict themselves have called, wanting to get information on how they can, you know, participate and how they can get their money and what they have to do to get it done.
Right.
Now, what happens when, say, a few years down the road, these women decide, you know, they get clean and they stop doing drugs and they decide, you know what, I want more kids? What happens then?
Well, we just, the only thing we can say to them is that we would suggest that they go back and try to reclaim the babies that they left behind in the past. That'd probably be the one and only thing that we could suggest they do.
Because most of these women have 5, 6, 7, or 8 babies, and they're not fortunate enough to be adopted. Most of these children are still in foster care. There's 70,000 foster kids just in Los Angeles.
Stuck in a system.
So if they come to a point in their life where they get clean and they get off drugs, what better thing than to go back and reclaim the children that you've damaged and left behind. They're still waiting for you.
That would pretty much prove that they've got their life together.
Exactly. And what about the, as far as, I know that these women call you, and the confidentiality involved in that? Because I'm sure they don't want, not saying that it's going to be widespread, but I'm sure they don't want everybody knowing what they're doing.
Right. There's the form that they fill out and send back. It tells them that the information is confidential and it won't go any further than us.
To me, this is preventing child abuse. Because we know if you're on any kind of drug, heroin, crack, whatever, that is such a mind-altering situation. What do you feel about that, Barbara? Do you think it's preventing child abuse, even death in some cases?
Right, I think it is prevention, and the mortality rate in these children is 17%. 17% of them die, and I believe that it's not enough to continue to open up more foster homes. It's not enough to continue opening up more group homes. Talk about opening up orphanages. Prevention. Somebody's got to do something to stop the number of babies being born.
Now, is that 17% the child abuse, the battering, the neglect?
No, it's drug babies.
Oh,
that's
just
17% of these babies who are born addicted die.
Where are we going with this? Where would this lead us? Should we sterilize, maybe a volunteer program, sterilize welfare mothers?
A lot of people ask that question. They say, well, if we start to do this, then where will it lead? Maybe, does this mean you're going to go after welfare mothers and all the other, alcoholics and, but we're trying to focus on this one thing, and anything else really is changing the subject. And, what we're trying to accomplish right here is the solution to this. And we don't want to change the world. Well, we can't. We can't fix everything. We're just going to start with this one thing right here.
So how many programs do you actually have that are like yours out there?
This is the only program in the entire world. This is the first time this has been done. That's what we're being told. It's very unique, but it's going to spread because I've got people calling me from Florida, from Iowa, from Connecticut. Everybody wanting to start the program there.
That's incredible. Okay, we're going to break for a few minutes and watch a commercial, and we'll be right back. It's an absolutely fascinating subject.